The Zarkonian Empire's massive fleet hung in space above the burning remains of humanity's outer colony on Kepler 442b. Admiral Zircon stood on the bridge of his command ship, his four arms crossed behind his back. Victory seemed certain. The humans had lost 12 colonies in just 3 months. Captain Sarah Chun watched the destruction from her hidden position behind a distant moon. Her ship, the Un's Defiance, was humanity's last hope. It wasn't the biggest ship or the most armed, but it carried something the aliens had never seen before: Dr. Min Jun's new quantum disruptor technology. "Captain, they're moving toward Earth," Lieutenant Seo Yan reported from her station. Her fingers danced across the holographic controls. Estimated arrival in 72 hours. Sarah's jaw tightened. Earth's defense fleet was already destroyed. Only scattered resistance remained. The politicians had already talked about surrender. But Sarah knew something they didn't know. The Defiance wasn't just a ship anymore. It was humanity's answer to extinction. In the engineering bay, Dr. Min Jun and his team worked without rest. They had reverse-engineered Zarkonian shield technology and combined it with human creativity. The result was something impossible by alien standards: a ship that could phase between dimensions during combat. Commander Jung-hoon entered the bridge. His uniform was torn from the last battle, but his eyes burned with determination. "Captain, the crew is ready. Every man and woman on this ship knows what we're facing. They're prepared to die for Earth." Sarah turned to face her crew. These 200 souls were all that stood between humanity and slavery. The Zarkonians had conquered 40 species before reaching Earth. They believed humans were weak because they showed mercy to enemies. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Set course for the Zarkonian fleet," Sarah commanded. "It's time to show them what humans do when cornered." The Defiance's engines roared to life. The small ship accelerated toward the massive alien armada. On Zircon's bridge, alarms began screaming. Their sensors couldn't lock onto the human vessel. It appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Zex, Zircon's second-in-command, pointed at the tactical display. "Admiral, it's just one ship. A small one. Should we even bother responding?" Zircon laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Destroy it. Show these humans the price of resistance." 1,000 Zarkonian ships opened fire. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled space with deadly light. But the Defiance wasn't there anymore. It had phased into a parallel dimension, moving through the same space but untouchable. Sarah smiled grimly. "Activate the disruptor. Target their command ship." The Defiance reappeared directly inside the Zarkonian formation. Before the aliens could react, a wave of quantum energy erupted from the human ship. It passed through shields like they weren't there. Systems across the Zarkonian fleet began failing. Impossible. Zircon roared. His ship's lights flickered and died. No species has this technology. But humans had something the Zarkonians never understood: desperation mixed with ingenuity. When faced with extinction, humanity didn't just fight back. They innovated. They adapted. They found ways to turn weakness into strength. Sarah opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. "This is Captain Chun of the UN's Defiance. You thought you won. You counted your victory before the battle ended. But you forgot one thing about humans." She paused, watching as more Zarkonian ships lost power. "We never give up. And when you threaten our home, we become something you can't defeat. We become united." The Defiance fired its conventional weapons. Without shields, the Zarkonian ships were vulnerable. Explosions bloomed across the alien fleet like deadly flowers. The hunters had become the hunted. Zircon stared at the tactical display in disbelief. One human ship was destroying his entire fleet. Everything they knew about humans was wrong. These weren't weak creatures who relied on cooperation because they lacked strength. They were survivors who had turned cooperation into the deadliest weapon in the galaxy. Asterisk, 3 hours after the first attack, the Defiance hid in the shadow of a destroyed Zarkonian battleship. The crew celebrated their impossible victory, but Dr. Minjun's face showed no joy. He stared at the quantum disruptor's readings with growing worry. "Captain Chun, we have a problem," Minjun said quietly. He pulled Sarah aside from the cheering crew. "The disruptor's core is degrading faster than expected. We have maybe 3, possibly 4 more uses before it burns out completely." Sarah's stomach dropped. They had destroyed 30 Zarkonian ships, but hundreds more remained. "Can you repair it?" "Not without materials we don't have." Minjun shook his head. The quantum field generator wasn't designed for repeated use. Each activation tears apart its molecular structure. Commander Jung-hoon approached them, noticing their serious expressions. "Bad news?" Sarah nodded. "We need a new plan. Jung-hoon, how do you feel about boarding a Zarkonian ship?" Jung-hoon's eyes lit up with dangerous excitement. "I thought you'd never ask." Meanwhile, on the Zarkonian command ship, Admiral Zircon studied every piece of data from the attack. His 4 arms moved independently, each one controlling different analysis screens. The humans had surprised him once. It wouldn't happen again. "Zex, what do we know about their weapon?" Zircon demanded. Zex pulled up sensor data. "It operates on quantum frequencies we've never seen." "But Admiral, look at this. The energy signature weakened with each use." "Their weapon is failing." Zircon's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Then we wait. Let them use it up. Deploy the fleet in scattered formation. Make them waste their shots." The Zarkonian fleet spread out across space, maintaining maximum distance between ships. They had learned. Sarah watched from the bridge as the alien tactics changed. "They're adapting," CO Yan observed. "If we use the disruptor now, we'll only disable a few ships at most." Sarah turned to Jung-hoon. "Take your team. We need their shield frequencies and any technology you can grab. Use the maintenance pod. It's too small for their sensors to notice." Jung-hoon selected his best soldiers. Martinez, a demolitions expert who could break into anything. Yuki, a tech specialist who spoke 7 languages and could hack alien systems. And Roberts, who never missed a shot. The maintenance pod launched silently, drifting like debris toward a damaged Zarkonian cruiser. Inside, Jung-hoon's team checked their weapons. They wore stolen Zarkonian armor, modified to fit human bodies. "Remember," Jung-hoon whispered, "we're not here to fight. We're here to steal and survive." They attached to the cruiser's hull. Yuki worked her magic on the airlock. Within seconds, they were inside. The corridor was massive, built for creatures 3 times human height. Emergency lights cast long shadows. They moved quickly, following Yuki's scanner toward the ship's data core. 2 Zarkonian guards stood watch. Jung-hoon used hand signals. Martinez and Roberts moved into position. 2 shots. Both guards fell before they could raise an alarm. 30 seconds, Jung-hoon ordered. Yuki connected her equipment to the alien computer. Data flowed into her storage device. Shield frequencies, weapon specifications, fleet positions. "Got it." Yuki whispered. "Wait, there's more." Jung-hoon, they have Earth's defense codes. They know exactly where our remaining ships are hiding. Jung-hoon's jaw tightened. "Download everything." Back on the Defiance, Sarah played her own game. She let the Zarkonians see them, then disappeared. Each time, the aliens fired at empty space. She was training them to react slowly, to doubt their sensors. "Captain, Jung-hoon's team is returning," CO Yan reported. "Mission successful." The pod docked. Jung-hoon rushed to the bridge with a data pad. "Captain, you need to see this." They're planning to attack Earth in 12 hours. But that's not the worst part. He showed her the stolen data. The Zarkonians had a planet-killer weapon. One shot would crack Earth like an egg. Sarah studied the information. Min-Jun, can we modify our disruptor to target this weapon? Min-Jun examined the specifications. Yes, but it would be our last shot. The disruptor would completely burn out. Sarah looked at her crew. Each face showed the same determination. They all knew what had to be done. Then we make it count, Sarah said. Jung-hoon, prepare your boarding teams. We're going to steal that planet killer. Jung-hoon smiled. Now you're thinking like a human. Asterisk. The attack on the planet killer weapon went wrong from the start. The Zarkonians had set a trap. As the Defiance approached the massive weapon platform, hundreds of hidden ships powered up their weapons. It's an ambush. SCO Yan screamed. Multiple locks on our position. Sarah didn't hesitate. Fire the disruptor. Maximum spread. The quantum wave erupted from the Defiance one last time. Dozens of Zarkonian ships lost power, but not all of them. The remaining ships opened fire. The Defiance shook violently as plasma bolts struck their hull. Shields at 30%. Someone shouted, "The disruptor is dead." Min-Jun reported. Core completely burned out. More hits. The lights flickered. Smoke filled the bridge. Sarah tasted blood in her mouth. They had walked into Zircon's trap perfectly. Jump to hyperspace. Sarah ordered. Navigation is offline. Sioyin's hands flew across her console. We're dead in space? A massive Zarkonian battleship moved toward them. Its main gun began charging, enough power to vaporize the Defiance. Sarah closed her eyes. They had failed. Then something impossible happened. A small maintenance pod accelerated from nowhere, piloted by Roberts. He crashed it directly into the battleship's weapon port. The explosion tore the gun apart. Roberts, no. Jung-hoon's voice cracked over the comm, but Roberts was already gone. His sacrifice bought them seconds. SCO Yan managed to restore partial engines. The Defiance limped away as more Zarkonian ships converged. They barely escaped, hiding in an asteroid field. The ship was dying. Half the crew was injured. Their miracle weapon was destroyed. Damage report? Sarah asked quietly. Jung-hoon's face was grim. 43 dead, including Roberts. Engines at 20%. Weapons mostly offline. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Earth received their final transmission. Disruptor destroyed. Zarkonian fleet advancing. Prepare for invasion. Defiance will buy what time we can. On Earth, panic spread. Cities emptied as people fled to bunkers. The remaining military forces prepared for a hopeless last stand. Parents hugged their children. Many thought these were humanity's final hours. In the United Nations emergency bunker, world leaders argued. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to fight to the last. None had real hope, but on the damaged Defiance, Min-Jun refused to give up. He stared at the burnt quantum disruptor, thinking. Suddenly, his eyes widened. C.O. Yan, show me the psychological profiles of the Zarkonians again, he said urgently. CO-YEON pulled up the stolen data. What are you looking for? Min-Jun studied the information. There, look at this. In their entire history, the Zarkonians have never recorded a single instance of self-sacrifice. Not one. So? Jung-hoon asked. Don't you see? Min-Jun became excited. Robert scared them. When he crashed that pod, the entire Zarkonian fleet hesitated. They couldn't understand why he did it. Sarah leaned forward, interested. Keep talking. They're a species of pure logic and survival instinct, Min-Jun explained. Self-sacrifice doesn't compute in their minds. It's like dividing by zero. It breaks their understanding of reality. Coyan understood first. So if we show them more examples of human sacrifice, they'll panic, Minjun finished. Their ordered minds can't process it. We don't need quantum weapons. We need to show them what humans will do to protect Earth. Sarah stood up slowly. Her ribs hurt, but her eyes burned with new purpose. Open a channel to Earth. All frequencies. The communication system crackled to life. Sarah's voice reached every human ship, every military base, every bunker. This is Captain Chun. The Zarkonians think they've won. They think we're beaten. But they don't understand humans. They don't understand that we'll die for each other. That a mother will die for her child. That a soldier will die for strangers. That's not weakness. It's our strength. She paused, looking at her brave crew. Every ship, every fighter, every person who can hold a weapon, meet us at these coordinates. We're going to show the Zarkonians something they've never seen. We're going to show them humanity united, not to win, but to prove that some things are worth dying for. The response was immediate. Damaged ships began moving. Private vessels armed themselves. Even cargo haulers loaded with explosives joined the gathering fleet. Admiral Zircon watched the human ships assembling. They're gathering their entire remaining force in one location. Foolish. We'll destroy them all at once. But Zek seemed nervous. Admiral, their behavior patterns don't match any known species. Why would they gather when they know they can't win? Zircon dismissed the concern. Humans are illogical. Prepare the planet killer. We'll end this in one shot. Asterisk, the human fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system looked pathetic. 200 ships, most damaged, faced against thousands of Zarkonian vessels. But Sarah had one more card to play. Coyan, use the Zarkonian communication codes we stole. Send a message on their slave species frequency. Coyan looked confused, but obeyed. What message, Captain? This. The humans stand against the Zarkonian Empire. We choose death over slavery. If you still have courage, now is the time. The message went out in 40 languages of conquered worlds. At first, nothing happened. Then, a single response came from a Zarkonian supply ship. This is Taka of the Valoran people. We serve in the engine rooms. The humans speak truth? They fight knowing they will die? Sarah responded personally. I am Captain Sarah Chun. Yes, we fight knowing we'll lose. Because some things matter more than living as slaves. Silence. Then Taka spoke again. The Valorans remember freedom. We will help. Suddenly, reports flooded in from across the Zarkonian fleet. Slave crews were sabotaging systems. Engine failures. Weapons malfunctions. The conquered species had been waiting decades for hope. The humans had given it to them. On his command ship, Zircon roared in fury. What is happening? Admiral, we have rebellions on 40% of our ships. Zex reported, panic in his voice. The slave crews are destroying systems from inside. Impossible. They know we'll kill them all. But that was exactly what Zircon couldn't understand. The slaves were choosing death over slavery. Inspired by humanity's example. Meanwhile, Sarah received an unexpected message from deep space. The transmission was old, using outdated protocols. Captain Chun, this is Commander Khaled of the Mars Resistance. We thought you were destroyed months ago. We've been hiding in the outer colonies with 30 ships. Sarah's heart jumped. Khaled, you're alive. Barely. We've been hitting Zarkonian supply lines. Captain, we liberated a prison transport. There are thousands of aliens here from species that fought the Zarkonians. They want to help. This changed everything. Bring them. Every ship, every fighter. Jung Hoon studied the tactical display. Captain, We're getting signals from everywhere. Asteroid miners, private yachts, even a museum ship with working weapons from the colonial wars. Min Jun had been quiet, working on something. Now he looked up. "Captain, I have an idea. It's insane, but it might work. We're past sane plans. Doctor, the planet killer weapon uses a focused gravitational beam. If we could reverse its polarity, it would repel instead of destroy. We could push their entire fleet into the sun." Sarah stared at him. "Can you do it?" "Not from here. Someone would need to board the weapon and manually reprogram it." Min Jun paused. "It's a one-way trip." Jung-hoon stepped forward. "I'll go." "No," Min Jun said quietly. "It has to be me. I'm the only one who understands the quantum mechanics involved." Before anyone could argue, Seo Yan interrupted. "Captain, picking up multiple hyperspace signatures. Unknown configuration." Space itself seemed to tear open. Ships emerged, strange designs, alien architectures. A massive vessel that looked like crystallized light. Organic ships that pulsed like living creatures. The freed species had come. A deep voice filled the communication channel. "Captain Chun, I am Vorthan of the Crystalline Collective. We were the first species the Zarkonians conquered 300 years ago. We thought resistance was impossible until we heard of your defiance." More voices joined. The shadows of Nexus, the ocean worlders of Aqua Prime, the machine consciousness of Beta 7. Dozens of species, all conquered, all inspired by humanity's stand. Zircon watched his tactical display in disbelief. Where did these ships come from? Zex was trembling. "Admiral, these are all species we conquered. They hid ships from us. They've been waiting." Waiting for what? For someone to show them it was possible to fight back. The combined rebel fleet was still outnumbered, but now it wasn't hopeless. Sarah opened a channel to all ships. "Today, we stand together. Human, Aloran, crystalline, and all free species. The Zarkonians believe in conquest through fear. We believe in something stronger, freedom through unity. They took our worlds. They enslaved our people. But they made one mistake." She paused, looking at the determined faces of her crew. "They let us meet each other. They created the alliance that will destroy them. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for every world that dreams of freedom." The combined fleet roared their agreement in 100 languages. The final battle was about to begin. Asterisk. The battle began with humanity's greatest trick, organized chaos. Human ships flew in patterns that made no sense to Zarkonian computers. They spun, rolled, and danced through space. The alien ships, programmed for logical combat, couldn't predict the movements. Sarah commanded from the Defiance's broken bridge. "All ships pattern Omega. Make them dizzy." The human pilots laughed as they flew. Cargo ships rammed into Zarkonian cruisers. Mining vessels used their drilling lasers as weapons. Even the museum ship fired ancient nuclear missiles that the Zarkonians had no defense against. Their shields were designed for energy weapons, not primitive explosives. Meanwhile, Min Jun's shuttle approached the planet killer weapon. Jung-hoon insisted on piloting. "You need steady hands for the programming, Doctor." "Let me fly." They dodged through the battle. A crystalline ship created a light shield around them, taking hits meant for the shuttle. A Valoran crew crashed their ship into a Zarkonian fighter that got too close. "They're dying for us," Min Jun whispered. "No," Jung-hoon corrected. "They're dying for freedom." On the weapon platform, Min Jun worked frantically. His fingers flew over alien controls. The math was beautiful and terrible. One mistake would destroy everything within a light year. Admiral Zircon finally understood he was losing. His perfect fleet was being torn apart by chaos and sacrifice. "Fire the planet killer," Destroy Earth now. Sir, the weapon isn't responding. Zex shouted. Someone's on the platform. Zirkon's 4 eyes widened in horror. Stop them. But it was too late. Min Jun had rewritten the weapon's core programming. Jung Hoon, get to minimum safe distance. 60 seconds to activation. Jung Hoon grabbed Min Jun. We go together or not at all. The shuttle won't make it carrying 2 people. Basic physics. Jung Hoon smiled sadly. Ben, we both stay. I'm not leaving you. Min Jun stared at his friend. Then he did something Jung Hoon didn't expect. He pushed him into the shuttle and sealed the door. Tell my daughter I loved her. Go. The shuttle launched automatically. Jung Hoon pounded on the sealed door. Screaming Min Jun's name. Sarah watched on her screen as Min Jun stood alone on the weapon platform. He was smiling. Captain, it's been an honor. Activating gravitational reversal in 10 seconds. The weapon fired, but not at Earth. The beam spread out, catching every Zarkonian ship in its field. The gravitational reversal grabbed them like an invisible hand and pulled them toward the sun. Zircon felt his ship moving. Full reverse thrust. Engines at maximum, but were still being pulled. Zex was terrified. Admiral, we can't break free. For the first time in his life, Zircon felt fear. Not fear of death, but fear of something he couldn't understand. These humans and their allies chose to die for others. It broke everything the Zarkonians believed about survival. Sarah opened a final channel to Zircon. Admiral, you studied everything about us except what mattered most. Humans don't fight because we're strong. We fight because we love. Love for our families, our friends, our freedom. That's something your empire could never conquer. The Zarkonian fleet was pulled helplessly toward the sun. Some ships exploded from the gravitational stress. Others burned up as they got closer to the star. Zircon's last message was picked up by the Defiance. I don't understand. Why would they die for others? It's not logical. Hizeo Yan responded. That's why you lost. You never understood that some things are more important than logic. The mighty Zarkonian. Empire's fleet burned in humanity's sun. The weapon platform, with Min Jun still on it, was also pulled in. His sacrifice saved billions. 3 days later, Earth celebrated. The alliance of freed species met on humanity's home. Each species brought their own music, food, and stories of resistance. Sarah stood before the United Council. Her uniform was patched, her ship was barely flying, but her spirit was unbroken. Today, we're free because we stood together. The Zarkonians conquered alone, but we freed ourselves united. Vorthan of the Crystalline Collective spoke. Humans showed us something we forgot. That courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear for something greater. Taka of the Valorans added, the galaxy needs protectors. We propose a new alliance, with Earth as its heart. Not for conquest, but for freedom. Sarah smiled, thinking of Min Jun, Roberts, and all who died. Humanity accepts. But we're not leaders. We're partners. Equal voices in a free galaxy. The alliance was born that day. Not through force or fear, but through the most human thing of all, the choice to stand together against the darkness, no matter the cost. The end. Asterisk.